Hi, everyone. This is Amanda Love, your fibromyalgia nutritionist, and I have Sherianna on today. And welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So, tell me a little bit of how you got started.
Emotional Detox is actually my seventh book, and I'd written a bunch of books before that. But how I got started to the field of psychology, well, it's actually, believe it or not, what I went to school for. I went to school for psychology. I worked in the field. I currently teach psychology at a local college, very part time. I spend the most of my time as an emotional detox coach, but how I got started was it's what I went to school for over 20 years ago, and then eventually branched off and added more mind body components to um, taking all sorts of classes and trainings and certifications. It's a process, it's a journey for sure.
Yeah, we're all on our journeys.
Yeah.
So, what do you actually teach people about?
So like I said, Emotional Detox is the seventh book. And then the one that followed that is called Emotional Detox for Anxiety. And both of those books have a system that I developed called Cleanse, and it's an acronym. And the acronym stands for 7 steps, mindful steps of an emotional detox. And so that's what I go over with people. That's the method that I use. And I basically teach them how to process their emotions without talking. And I also give them guidance on what they're processing, because I think that's just as important as processing, as understanding, well, what exactly am I doing here? What
Right.
am I processing, and what's the point of all this? So I give guidance for that and help them understand that and get clear on that. And sometimes it's hard, as you know, Amanda. It's
Right.
hard. It's hard when you're in it to see things and understand what's getting in the way of you processing your feelings. So I'm sort of this outside lens that can help people see the things and feel the things that they're not allowing themselves to feel.
Yeah, so you're focused more on like the mental aspect.
Yeah, well, it's all
Yeah,
connected, as you know.
so
Emotions affect
emotions. Yeah,
the physical.
it's physical. I think a lot of times we focus on the food side of things and not the mental side of things.
Yeah, definitely. It's very much connected to how we physically feel, our energy levels, and our body, our emotional, how emotionally how we feel, which, as you know, can affect what we eat and how we eat. So emotions are a big part of that for sure.
That's awesome. So do you spend like 30 minutes or an hour talking to them? What's the first step that people do with you?
Well, my sessions are an hour, and we I first get an idea
Yeah.
of what it is that they wanna be focusing on, what's showing up for them, and then as they're talking, I'm able to kind of pick up.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for so long now, I kinda know what they need, what would help them to cleanse, what we need to be focusing on. And then again, I guide them through the process, and when I'm coaching them, I'm not rushing, right? I'm
Right.
just
Yeah.
it's organic. I'm also being guided myself from a spiritual standpoint at the same
Right.
time. I'm gaining, so giving them a higher information. And and then after we are done cleansing, then we have conversations about their situation, if need be, of maybe some tools or tips or
Right.
things that they hadn't thought of, or maybe they had, but they didn't know how. So I do a lot of that too, just kind of helping people get the skills, because I think when we don't have skills, we can feel very insecure about things. It's like anything, the
Right.
more you practice, the more confident you get, right?
Yeah, and you mentioned people don't really see what they have to do until someone actually tells them they have to do it. They're so stuck in it.
Yeah. They're so stuck, yeah.
And
And
that's
so
yeah,
yeah,
that's how people are with fibromyalgia. They get really stuck in the mess of it and they can't see past it.
yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
do you find it's a lot of people do a lot of people have stuff in their childhood that they have to work through, or is it
Yeah, it is connected to childhood very often, and sometimes it's important to link that for people, may not to rehash it, but
right?
more so to help them understand that we're clearing at that level, that it's not just about what happened yesterday or what's happening,
Yeah,
when they go to work or in their bodies, that we're taking this to the space of origin, right? And many times it is when we're children early on, we develop
right.
these patterns which come up at some point in some form or another. They manifest, and
Yeah,
sometimes they
it does.
manifest in the physical, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's what we do. I mean, it's a journey, and I find that most people, once they start feeling, they realize, boy, it's not so bad. I actually,
it's like
I
a lift weighted off of them.
yeah, exactly. And I would imagine with fibromyalgia, I mean, you can kind of correct me on that, Amanda, if
Yeah,
that it feels heavy at times. And
yeah, it does.
yeah, so that needs some lifting, and
Right.
those are some really, those energetically can put a lot of strain on your physical body. And sometimes these things are so intense and so painful physically, and say
Right.
so debilitating, really. It can impact your ability to work or have relationships, and it can feel like you're sometimes in prison in your own body. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
I can't get out of this, feel trapped, in this circumstances. And those are some things that we would clear together. And when it's that big and that intense, I always feel, in my viewpoint, that
yeah,
we're talking about genetic lines. We're talking about something that's been around for a long time.
yeah,
And so therefore we have to acknowledge that. It's not just about, sometimes even some people believe in other lifetimes and things like that. Um, I just keep all my mind wide open when I'm doing an emotional detox. I don't have any, all options are open. And that way we can really helps us to get to that root cause of whatever it may be. And don't be afraid of it, but just it's time to feel it. And many people will benefit from that when people choose to start to heal. The whole planet benefits from that.
I love that you said about the root cause because that's what I'm about, getting to the root
Yeah.
cause. It's
Yeah.
and a lot of times I don't think in our society, Western culture, that we wanna get to the root cause.
No, we want to medicate it, or
Medicate it.
yeah, and we want to sort of maintain it. That's a big word, and regulate it. And I have clients that come in on medication and they don't love it, and they talk
Right,
about it. And I'm not a doctor. And
right.
so I let them know it's okay. I mean, you can still process your feelings and be on medication. And they worry, am I numbing myself? Am I making it worse by taking this medication? And, my job is just to really get them, again, the skills and to guide them through the process so they're not afraid. And they'll know when the time comes, what feels right for them. And there's no rush in that. But you're right. I mean, there's never I was just having a conversation with my daughter about this.
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters, and I'm their mom, so
Right.
I can't be their emotional detox coach as much as I would love to be, and yeah, sometimes, but
Yeah.
I always say I hope somebody helps my kids as much as I'm helping their kids,
How
but
old are
anyway,
your kids?
my daughters, well, the oldest is 20,
Yeah.
and then 18, and then 13. So they're at those ages where they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to get
Yeah.
a sense of what am I going to do. And I'm always letting them know, cuz they just want to talk about it. I'm like, you could easily get to the root cause of that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be
Yeah.
a point where you're gonna say, uh, "This talking about it all the time is not working,"
Right.
and you can
Yeah.
clear that up, and so you have the ability to heal that. And
Right.
then they're in that, that mindset, I gotta fix it. I gotta go fix it. I gotta make an appointment or do
Yeah.
something or get something and just make it go away,
Right.
and I did that too. I did it. I went on medication on and off.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I mean, we all go through those periods of our life where we just want the quick fix. And then you realize there's another way.
and it's not always a quick fix. I
No.
I I did that in my journey in my early 20s. So when I just wanted to get the fibromyalgia fixed. I was diagnosed at 20, so
Wow.
yeah.
That's young to
Yeah,
get
it's
diagnosed with something so big.
yeah. So why did you decide to write your book?
Well, like I said, it was the 7th, and by then I had quite a bit under my
Yeah,
belt. So I'd written a book called The 4 Gifts of Anxiety, believe it or not.
yeah,
And that book is full of like healing tools. So I knew it was possible to transform things on an energetic level. I had written that book out, and then I just sort of fell as a psychology professor.
right.
I teach methods of therapy. I teach it every semester. And I'm just like, wow, I just can't believe that we haven't had much growth. So I always get the latest textbook, and I can
Yeah,
see it's really great. I can see what our next generation is learning, right? By the textbooks that are available at the college level.
yeah.
And none of them, I mean, it's like 3 paragraphs on emotions. And it's like,
Oh, gee.
really? It's and they're just very brain related. So I decided that I was gonna really start to research and dive into it, and I did, and then the book ended up getting picked up by Simon& and Schuster, which was fabulous, and I was all excited, and then about, gosh, maybe 4 weeks after I was picked up,
Yeah,
I went through, I had a horrible traumatic event happen, unexpected, and I was like, "Oh my god." So I told the publisher, I'm sorry, I cannot write this book. And they were like, it's okay, just do what you need to do. And so it really turned into, not only was I writing about an emotional detox eventually, I actually needed one. I actually,
is that how it works
yeah,
in life?
so I wrote that book, I always say, from inside out. It wasn't just somebody talking about it.
Yeah,
It ended up being a blessing. And
right.
I think that's why it's doing so well, is because so many people relate.
And it
Um,
came from your heart.
it came from my heart, and they relate to the story that I tell in there about my own life. I think everybody can kind of resonate with those experiences. And then later, about a year later, I wrote Emotional Detox specifically for anxiety. And that book has the cleanse, and it just gets really more structured because people with anxiety need that. They want to know,
Yeah,
okay, step 1, step 2,
Yeah.
step 3, right? And so they're both great books, but the first one will give you a really good sense of what is this all about and what is it based on? Because it is a different mindset, Amanda, that we haven't really, not many of us were ever taught. It's just kind of coming out, and the base, the crux of emotional detox is that all emotions are good so long as we process them.
Yeah. And people don't process them, or they push them to the
Because
side.
they're too busy
Yeah.
labeling them as good and bad and this and
Yeah.
that and right and wrong.
Right.
And nobody's going to process something that they're labeled as bad. Why would you?
No, you just push it to the side.
Right. I mean, it's like food, you teach about food.
Yeah.
If you tell someone it's bad, they're going to have a negative relationship with that food.
Yeah.
They're going to either overindulge and then feel guilty as hell, or
Right.
or they're going to restrict themselves and create problems, potential problems that way. So you have to have a healthy relationship with your emotions. And how can you do that if you're judging and labeling them? So again, emotional detox is based on the premise that all emotions are good so
Yeah.
long as we process them.
Yeah. And we all need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So is there what is cleanse yoga I saw on your website?
So yeah, that is I teach yoga. I've been teaching for about 19 years, and I take it into a practice, the cleanse.
Yeah.
And I offer that. So for example, if I'm hired to do a workshop or retreat
Right.
or some kind of a wellness contribution with a company or something,
Yeah, yeah.
I let them know I can put these 7 steps cleanse into a yoga practice, because a lot of people want to have some physical
Right.
in whatever they're offering for that weekend. And I let them know that I not only can I teach them skills and offer them an opportunity to cleanse, I can also lead a yoga practice for them if they want to have that for their whatever it is that they're offering. And I always do the process of an emotional detox every time I teach, every time I do my own practice. I
Yeah.
have a hard, even if I'm in someone else's class, I'm going through the steps in my mind because
Yeah.
I just know I can just see
It's
opportunity.
automatic.
Yeah. For emotional processing, whatever, because things come up when you move your body. Let's face it,
Yeah, it
things
really.
lift, right? And I want to honor that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there anything else you would like to share?
Oh boy. I just, I'm interested in your audience. I can imagine, I can't imagine. I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not in their shoes, what it's like to the only glimmer is I've had some clients that I
Yeah.
have worked with. Um, and I think sometimes some clients have said, when they don't know what else it is, this is what they label it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm sure
they
you find that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's what they say. It's all the doctors are saying it's all in the head.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
so they just kinda slap on that label, and
Yeah,
that's really frustrating because, it kinda seems like a cop out,
it is a cop out.
Yeah,
Let's just
so
say what it is.
exactly, and so I guess for your audience, I just would encourage them to know that your body's has so much healing resources inside of it, and the emotions are enormously healing when we process them. And again, you don't have to talk about it. That's what I think people really love about the cleanse is it
Yeah,
takes you through the steps without rehashing the stories. Because some of those stories, let's face it, can re-traumatize us. And
right.
and gosh, someone who with fibromyalgia, I mean, that's the last thing they want to do, right? Is
Yeah.
rehash all of that. And so I just want to let them know that that's not what the cleanse is all about. It's not gonna, it couldn't, your emotions could never hurt you. Resisting them
Right.
could hurt you, meaning they can
Yeah.
create a lot of tension and stress and inflammation in the body. But feeling them, when you're truly feeling, they will never hurt you.
That's awesome. So where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm at sheriannaboyle.com is my website, and that's where everything is, all my books and coaching and classes and all that good stuff. My radio show, Emotional Detox Radio. I also have a podcast. Don't ask me how I ended up with two, but I did. I have
Crazy.
my podcast is with a co-host, so we do that together. We really have a lot of fun, and then the Emotional Detox Radio is on a network called healthylife.net, which again, you can find all this at sheriannaboyle.com. And that's a pretty fun show. I have a lot of incredible people that I'm on that network, which is fun. It's entertaining.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we'll put all those links in the show notes for everyone to find. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Amanda.